Hey everybody, welcome back to the Align Your Health podcast. Today we're going to be talking about how to get results in our office. And I'm just going to caution you, the first part of this is going to sound like maybe we're abdicating some responsibility or we're shifting the responsibility over to you. But in reality, that's part of what our job is. If you're going to get well in a chiropractic setting, then there is a responsibility that your health is yours. And I think that's one of the best and most freeing things that we do for our patients is we literally give them their health back. That doesn't mean that we do something that magically creates health for you. It means we give you the opportunity and the responsibility of knowing what it looks like to get back on track so that you can have your health. Now, before we go any further, if that doesn't sound like what you're looking for, this is your opportunity to stop listening. But if you're like, wait a minute, what does that mean? I go to a doctor and a doctor is supposed to get me healthy. I would challenge you to think about what are the three things that I tend to hear most from patients when they come in. Number one, they want to know what the problem is. Number two, they want to know, can it be corrected? And number three, they want to know, what is the role I play, meaning them, the patient, in that, and are you going to help me and educate me along that way? So if you've been to a doctor recently, those were probably some of the things, whether you were able to articulate them or not, that were in the back of your head. And today we're going to talk about, that is exactly what a doctor should be doing. So I'm excited to break this down and go through this with you of what is a doctor's responsibility in your health and what is your responsibility. All right, so before we go any further into this, I just want to say, number one, that I think chiropractic is the best, the most efficient, the most elegant, and the simplest solution to healthcare.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is we believe, and we've talked about this over 20 years with the way we've modeled our office, that we teach pretty much in 5 areas. We teach that your mindset matters. And when we say mindset, that's the balance between logically, how should you take responsibility over your health? And then spiritually, like, how healthy are you? Because we believe that you are a physical embodiment of your spiritual nature. So that's important. Number 2, and the reason we put that number 2 is because we think chiropractic is the second best message in town. We believe that Jesus Christ and salvation is number 1.
Right.
But number 2 is chiropractic. And the reason we put chiropractic number 2 out of the 5 categories is because when God created your body, now, if we go outside of prayer, go outside of any spiritual action, outside of Holy Spirit, fourth dimension, any of this stuff, God created your body physically to have a brain and nervous system that control everything. And this is the major thing that when we talk about chiropractic and we talk about health, we talk about disease, we talk about conditions, we talk about healing, we'd be remiss to not first mention your nervous system. That we believe the nervous system is actually the most important part of your healing, again, aside from the spiritual side of it. But in the physical context, as me, as a human being, doctoring somebody and teaching them, and then as a human being in front of me who needs to physically heal, I can't do the spiritual part for you. And God has given you this nervous system, this brain and spinal cord that control everything. So my very first job is to acknowledge where healing starts.
Yeah. Yep.
The other 3 we'll go into in other episodes and already have in some degree. They're nutrition and exercise, and not exercise for getting skinny's sake, but exercise for your health sake. And then lastly, detoxification and getting things out. So putting good things in, using our bodies in a way that promote growth and healing. And then lastly, getting the bad stuff out of our bodies so that we can not interfere on another level with that healing. So let's go back to the chiropractic part. As a chiropractic patient going on, I should know this number. I started getting an adjustment when I was 8. I'm 45 now. So that is 37 years chiropractic patient, never missed a week of chiropractic adjustments. And for some people, they're like, wow, that's crazy.
I just did the math. You are 45.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 45 years old.
carry the one.
And so when it comes to this idea of like why I chose to be a chiropractic patient first. My mom and dad first chose it for me. And then eventually I chose to keep going through it. And then I eventually chose to become a chiropractor, but then I continually teach people this way. We've taken care of tens of thousands of people, hundreds if not thousands of families, and we show them what this chiropractic lifestyle looks like, that the chiropractic lifestyle is one where we acknowledge that nervous system as the center of our health, the beginning of everything that happens. It's the communication that if you're going to change your diet and you're going to digest food, that diet and that change in food, you just eat food and then your body has to do something with it. Well, your nervous system is what's coordinating all that.
Yep.
It's breaking down the food. It's sending messages to your brain. It's controlling your blood glucose. It's doing all this. Whether it's healing from a disease process like cancer, you may do things. You may stop using certain products that you found out have potential harmful, effects to you. You may do a detoxification protocol. You may change your lifestyle. But again, your body has to adapt to that. And what's controlling that is your nervous system. So the reason as a chiropractor, we put nervous system first is because we know that it's at the center of everything. So chiropractic, isn't about neck pain. It's not about back pain. It's really not even about your spine. It's actually not even about your nervous system. It's about the belief and the understanding that we believe you have an ability to heal. It's innate. It was intelligently placed inside your body, but the organ, the structure, and the system that it was placed in is your nervous system. So when a patient comes in, that is foundational. They have to understand that first.
Right.
They have to understand that if you're going to heal, it has to start with your nervous system.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I was having a conversation this week which really illuminated to me. I think there's a couple questions or there's a couple signs when I talk with a patient or when I talk with, just a regular person. And in this instance, it wasn't a patient yet. It was a woman that I was speaking to who had some interest in coming into the office, and I was getting a gauge on like where's your level of understanding of chiropractic in general, but also where are you at in your health? Like what's your health philosophy? Where do you stand on health? And one of the interesting things right off the bat that struck me is that there's two little signs that somebody's coming from a more traditional medical model background. Because there's a mentality that you have in those situations that are just fundamentally different, right, than what we have inside of a more holistic background or a more holistic point of view, like what we're moving toward, what we're moving forward towards, right? And one of those things right off the bat is that there is a mentality amongst those in the traditional medical model that you're just almost jumping on a ride, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like you bought a ticket and you're coming in and you're going to sit down and you're just going to get on the ride. And whether it's a roller coaster or a tilt-a-whirl or a medical merry-go-round that you're never getting off of or whatever it is, but you're along for the ride and your engagement stops when you buy the ticket. Like you're like, oh, I did my job. And yep. I would run into this when I owned a gym for 10 years. And I would run into this sometimes at the gym where it was like somebody would come in and they would buy a personal training package and they might spend thousands of dollars on it.
Yeah.
And they thought,
look up personal training right now in today's, it can range anywhere from $70 a session up to $150 a session.
Absolutely. And
if you're doing that 2 to 3 times a week, you're spending $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a year. And their goal is they want to change their life. They want to change their health. They want to change their physiology. They want to look better in front of a mirror. They want to lose weight. They want to be more capable. They want to be stronger. But their commitment didn't end with swiping their credit card or writing a check.
Yes. And there was times where that's where that person felt like I did my part. Mm-hmm. Now you do your part, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, whoa, no. We just started, and you got to show up and do your part, and I'm showing up and doing my part. But we got to talk about what your piece of it is, like what your level of engagement is, and somehow that's like it's something that everybody understands when it comes to working out. It's like, no, you can't just pay. You got to show up and you got to do the work.
Typically, the person that you're writing the check to, or the personal trainer that they pair you up with, they're already in better shape than you. Mm-hmm. That was a fire truck that went by. They're on the way to go rescue somebody. Thank God for emergency care. But we're talking about building your health. And so when you look at that person that's arguably probably in better shape than you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The person across the desk or the person that they pair you up with training, and you go, okay, I wrote the check. Now you look healthy. Make me look like you. And they're like, no. That's not how it works.
Right.
You're going to show up 3 to 5 times a week, every day at this time. And if you're not here by this time, I'm going to send you a text message, or maybe there's an automated text that goes out and says, hey, you missed this session. By the way, you're probably paying for it.
Right.
Because you missed it, because that's on you. It's not on them. But ultimately, if you do what you're supposed to do, you have to put in the work. In fact, our trainers, we had trainers that they worked very hard on their own physiology. They worked very hard on their own health. And I remember when we owned a gym, one of the conversations we had to have with them was, you guys work so hard at being the example of your health that when it comes to your clients being here and you're putting weights on bars, off of bars, or you're handing them dumbbells or doing these things, there's an element where you cannot put their dumbbells away for them all day long. You cannot put their weight on the bar for them all day long, because you are already doing what is building and growing and sustaining your health. And then anything beyond that you're doing for them, number one, it's taking it away from them, because a third of the work you do in the gym is getting the weights on and off the shelf, is getting, that's probably a third of it. It might not be the hardest third, but if you take that away from them, you're robbing them of that. Number two, it puts an imbalance of stress on the person, and they just stand there and think, oh, I'm supposed to lift and rest and lift and rest. Like, no, we got to move when we're resting.
Right.
And so I think in the gym that became very obvious to us. If our trainers continued to do that, they would be literally lifting weights for 12 hours a day. 14 hours a day.
Right. And it's a generally accepted thing across so many facets of life, right? You don't show up to school and then go, nope, I don't have to do anything else. I'm not doing homework. I'm not studying. I'm not reading the books. I'm not doing anything. I enrolled, and that's the end of it. And you don't go to the grocery store and buy the ingredients and look at the checkout lady and be like, I don't understand why I don't have chicken piccata here. It's like, ma'am, you have capers and some chicken stock and some raw chicken.
Butter.
And some
maybe
butter.
some white wine.
And you're like, but can you turn this into chicken piccata for me? They're like, no, I'm actually just going to collect your money for paying for this.
And you got to hire a chef, but the chef can't make you eat it. The chef.
Right.
And we've seen this, like people do meal planning, they do all this, and they hire people to come in, and then for whatever reason, human nature, they still go through a drive-through. Right. It's like you have the food at home. Right. And so there's this real thing of there's a real thing where it comes down to your responsibility.
It comes down to your responsibility. And for some reason in the medical world, in the medical model, there has come this thing, because there's a whole big section of medicine that says, no, don't worry about it. You don't have to do any work. And that's enticing.
Just take this pill.
That's very enticing. And so there's this thing that happens sometimes where folks walk into a medical office and they're just like, I'm done. I'm here. I swiped my card. I'm going to swallow the thing, or you're just going to do it. You're just going to take care of it. You're just going to own it for me. Yep. And my responsibility stops after walking in here and saying, hello, I walked in and I'm here. So that's one big thing. That's one big difference.
And it sounds attractive.
And it does. It's so much easier, right? But it's not, because there is no biological free lunch, and there is nothing that's for free, and there is nothing that you can earn that isn't worth it in the end that you haven't worked for. And those are just principles of life, right? Yep. So that's one thing, that's one glaring difference. And then
I said that to somebody, I think yesterday, that the struggles and the things that we go through that are hard, that if you really look back at the last 8-10 years of your life, it was the hard things that actually built your character. It was the hard things that actually changed you as a human being. One of my mentors used to say, nothing big ever happened from a lazy boy. Right. You know what I mean? And that there is hard work, but if you're willing to take on that responsibility, you can change your life.
Yes, absolutely. And here's the second point. Here's the second thing that I noticed when I was talking with someone who had a more of a medical background and more of a medical mindset than somebody who's holistic. They view health as complicated. When they talk about your body, when they talk about health, when they talk about conditions, when they talk about disease, when they talk about everything, they're like, oh my gosh, it is just so complicated.
Yeah.
And when I hear that phrase, I think somebody has taught you, somebody with a very large ego has taught you that you couldn't possibly understand it, that you couldn't possibly know, that you couldn't possibly take care of your own body, that you couldn't possibly understand the condition that's happening with you, that these things are so complex that you can't possibly think through it on your own, and you have to go to this outside authority, and you have to just bow down to them and whatever they say and whatever their opinion is and whatever their thought is in it, because they have overcomplicated it so much that they're the only one that you can go to solve that problem.
We broke it down to 5 distinct categories. 5 is not a big number.
No.
Like, could you do 5 things every day? I think all of us could. Like, if you give me 90 to do in a day, probably not going to happen.
Right.
If you give me 1 to do every day, and here's the great thing is with the 5, we actually walk people through this one by one. And we only give you one thing at a time, and as you go on, but there's 5 major things that you have to do, and we talked about nutrition, one of them, exercise, one of them. You wrote a wonderful email to your volleyball team this week, and these are 10-year-old girls, is that right? And
they're not ready for the level of knowledge.
And you told them about your almost 80-year-old father and how he's done 50 push-ups, sit-ups, and squats every single morning. And that habit has become a lifelong habit. And you said it to these parents and these kids at 10 years old. One of my goals for you guys, talking to the 10-year-olds, is that you establish a lifelong pattern and habit of strength, fitness, and health. And that just begins with the commitment to doing something little every day that takes 10, 15, 20 minutes. So what we're talking about isn't overwhelming. And I say that to say health isn't complicated. It's a couple things that if you do them every day, where you do them weekly. And so the first thing we have to get to is rhythm. Yes. So as a chiropractic patient, we teach our patients what we call the 3-legged stool model. So if you think of a stool and you have the surface you sit on, and then you have the legs that support it. I've never seen a 1-legged stool work really well.
No.
I've never seen a 2-legged stool work really well.
No.
3 legs is kind of the minimum. Like once you have 3 legs under that stool can actually, I'm literally looking at a camera right now. The camera's on a tripod. It has 3 legs to keep it stable. I'm sure there's 5-legged tripods out there. I'm sure there's, 4-legged tripods out there, but 3 is the bare minimum to stabilize something. When you watch the guys on the sidelines at football games, they have 1 leg on that, but they have a hand on it all the time because they become the thing that's having to fight what everything wants to do. So we have something that we want to build underneath. If the top of the table is your results and or the top of the stool is your results and your health, we want to build at least 3 structures right away. And this is the first part. This is the chiropractic part. So when you're coming in and we do a consult with you, one of our things is to change and shift, or at least challenge your mindset. Where is your mindset at when it comes to your health? So that's when we talked about those 5 essentials and mindset and spirituality and all that. That's number 1. We kind of take care of that before we ever put a hand on a patient. But once a patient goes, this makes sense, then there's these 4 other areas. And the chiropractic one is the one we're going to talk about. That chiropractic one has 3 legs underneath it. Mm-hmm. And so we just start with chiropractic. They're like, well, what about my diet? What about my... Glad you're asking those questions, but we already talked about this. Your nervous system controls and regulates everything. We have to get that right first. Now, could your nervous system be bad because of your nutrition? Yeah, absolutely. Can there be your nervous system's bad because of detoxification? Yes. But we have to first work with the physical aspect of the health of your nervous system from a structural and a functional standpoint and make sure it's ready to respond. Mm-hmm. And so you can go back to other episodes where we talk in depth about subluxation and the fact that your spine can become the interference. So you're like, oh, I've changed my nutrition, I've changed my fitness, I've changed my lifestyle, I'm doing this, I'm speaking affirmations, but I'm still not healthy. The nervous system is probably the missing component because we start with that and everyone else maybe at best ends with it. You're hearing about vagus nerve. I read an article in Men's Journal or Men's Health or something this week where they're like, your back pain might not be a back problem. It might be a nervous system problem. I'm like, yes. They get it. And then they wanted to sell you a device you put in your ear that does some weird vagal stimulation. It's like, no, they don't get it.
So close.
That we live a life that's stressful in our bodies. And if your teeth looked like your spine, you would be horrified to go out in public. Mm-hmm. Because your spine, if you've never seen it, it can be not in good health, and it's protecting your nervous system or it's interfering with it. So when somebody comes in and we draft up this plan, and that's one of the things I love in our office, is we plan for success. I think one of the things that sets us apart in chiropractic and in healthcare, and somebody tells me all this all the time, they come in and they say, I've been to a chiropractor, but it wasn't like this. Yeah. Or they'll say, I went to a normal chiropractor. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty normal in some ways. I mean, I feel like I'm special in some, but I, nobody likes to be abnormal. Right. I'm like, what are you saying? They're like, no, like you guys took x-rays on me. We had a conversation about my health. You tied my x-rays to my health. And then you started talking about what the next steps were and that there was going to be a plan. And so the other chiropractor just said, come back when your neck hurts again. You know what I mean? Yeah. No. How does it feel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Feeling is such a small part of it. We're talking about healing. And if you want to plan for healing, then you actually have to have this plan. So when we take our patients, we go, all right, here's the plan. The cool thing is they go, all right, we commit to the plan. One of the conversations we have is this 3-legged stool. But once they commit, on their very next visit, we go right to a poster that shows the 3-legged stool. We say, all right, now that you're committed, this seat where we're going to seat your health on, and you're going to have health seated on 3 foundational things. The number one thing is that you get adjusted within a rhythm, and that rhythm has been established through your plan. And why do we use rhythm? Because things change with rhythm. Things change for the good with rhythm, and things change for the bad with rhythm. If you rhythmically put a kid on one hip every day, multiple times a day, and hoist that one kid up and hold them, you're going to see a hip imbalance start to form. If you get in your car and drive for 45 minutes every day with your right leg, we all only use our right leg, unless you live in Europe, but we all use our right. I would imagine they use the left leg, but maybe they use their right too, just on the other side of the car.
I don't know.
But you get in the car and you put your right leg on the brake or the gas, and you just use your right leg, which means you're putting more weight in that right side of the seat. If you are right-handed and you use a mouse, only the right hand all day long. If you're an athlete, and so there's an asymmetry to life that happens, and that is a pattern, and then we're trying to reduce and break that pattern so that things don't start to shift out of alignment and create all this interference. How do we do that? Rhythm. Because you're in a rhythm in your life, and we're trying to create an equal and opposite rhythm that starts to break apart some of the dysfunction and create new or return patterns back to the normal. As a chiropractor, our job is not to correct subluxation so it's perfect. That's not even possible, because you're going to live an imperfect life. Our job is to reduce those subluxations and that interference down to their most minimal form, and then keep them as healthy as we can possibly keep them as we keep doing things that are constantly a stress on our normal function. So adjustments and rhythm, what does that mean? That you come in, you get adjusted. If it's 3 times a week, you come in 3 times a week initially. If it's 2 times a week, 2 times a week. If you get down to where you're weekly, it's weekly. But if you ever are tempted or forced to miss an appointment, you make it up. And our goal is that you make it up in our office within 48 hours, because we want to keep that rhythm going. What we notice is when people get outside of that 72 hours, 128 hours, they start going 3, 4, 5 days, they're now accumulating so much dysfunction that we're not going to be able to keep the momentum going.
Right.
So rhythm is a huge part.
Right. And rescheduling and canceling appointments is not neutral. Like, it's not like, oh, I feel pretty good, so I'm going to coast this out. Like, like in a car, you can reverse, you can drive, you can neutral. There is no neutral in your health. You're casting votes to one side or the other every single day. And the point of your health
Somebody said the only way to coast is downhill.
The only way to coast is
uphill,
downhill.
And you can't coast on flat land.
Right.
So if you're coasting, if you're missing appointments and you're coasting, you're like, I feel okay, just know, whether you feel it or not, you are going downhill towards less health.
Right, 100%. And that's why rhythm is so key to this. And that's why we work so hard as an office, is to help people recognize their rhythms and to keep them in a rhythm that's keeping them pushing with gas pedal down up the hill and building momentum in their health.
And this is where my bad cop side comes in, because people do go on vacation.
Right.
They do miss appointments. And sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't tell you. But if they go on vacation, if they tell you, you're going on vacation next week, all right, great. You're 1 time a week. Get 2 in this week so that we get ahead of the momentum. If they don't tell you and they come back from vacation, you're like, hey, I saw you missed last week. And we call that out. we call it out for you, not in spite of you. We go, hey, I saw that you missed last week. What happened? Oh, I was on vacation. And sometimes they still feel great coming back because they've gotten in a rhythm that got them through that vacation, and they were able to go do things that they couldn't have done weeks prior. And I go, all right, great. Now that you're back, get 2 in this week for the one you missed last week. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's all about rhythm. Now, here's the other bad cop side is we have a 3-strike policy in our office. What does that mean? In baseball, it's 3 strikes and you're out. We don't go like 3 strikes and we kick you out, but we go 3 strikes and we have to sit down and have a conversation about your commitment level, because the doctors are still here. They were planning for the schedule. The appointment was on there and you missed or you moved it. And without even going into the idea that maybe there were other people that wanted that time, we know that you were on that time and we're committed to being here for you. So if we're here for you and you're not here 1, 2, 3, and they don't have to be consecutive. They can be sometimes weeks apart, but we're like, on our schedule, there's a red. Red means you didn't show up. Red's like, you're not in trouble, but we got to talk about it. And so there's red, red, red. And I look at that and I go, hey, there's 3 reds on here, 3 strikes. We got to have a conversation about your commitment level to getting well. And the conversation usually goes in one of 2 ways. I'm feeling better. Great. How long do you want to keep feeling better? Yeah. Well, I want to, forever. Great. This pattern is not going to equate to that.
Right.
Or they go, I'm actually not feeling that great and I'm just frustrated. I'm like, well, of course you're not feeling that great because there's 3 reds on here and your commitment level that you started with is starting to get away from you. So when you started, you were seeing results, but now they're starting to go away. So again, as a practice, we're not the come back when you're hurting practice. Right. We don't do that to people. I've literally had patients tell me, what did the other chiropractor tell you? Well, they said just to come back if it bothered me again. Like, that's a terrible idea. And that is poor leadership from somebody who isn't taking the responsibility of telling you that your health is your responsibility. Right. So as a chiropractor in practice, one thing I can guarantee you, if you come into Align Chiropractic or any of the Max Living clinics or clinics that we're affiliated with, that you are going to have a doctor that says your health is your responsibility. We're doing it with you, not for you. Right. I can't do your health for you. I can only do my health for me. And I actually have to do my health with other people. And so with your health, you're doing it with us. We can't do it for you. And you actually have the weightier part of this. So that being said, adjustments in rhythm, that's leg number 1. Right. The 2 other legs, I think, are the things that make a lot of sense to people once we get past the chiropractic part. Leg number 2, you have habits currently that created the subluxations that you have. You have habits currently that are creating the health that you currently have. So one of our goals is to help you find them and to help you acknowledge them and then to help you break some of them and create new habits. So one of them might be like, we're using laptops right now because they're convenient, but if you look at our posture, we're not doing this. Yeah. Yep. Now, if we were using laptops 8 to 10 hours a day, we would throw these things in the trash and we would get a large monitor up in front of us so that our chin was always at this level or maybe looking up a little higher. If you think about your desk, you might even be at work right now, is your monitor down and forward? Do you have a laptop that you're like this all day? Do you use a phone where your phone is pointed towards your lap and you're like in this position? When you drive in a car, what do you do? What position do you sleep in? Do you sleep on your stomach? That's the worst. If that's the first time you're hearing that, feel free to listen to a couple more episodes because there are things that you're doing, whether you're knowledgeable about them or not, and our job is to help you point them out. Now, I want to tell you that our job is not to correct them. Right. Your job is to correct them. Right. Our job is to help you find them. Right. And so we give a list of things that are likely to be happening societally, but your life is different. So I'll tell patients sometimes, set your phone on time lapse, put it in the corner of your desk, point it at you while you work, and leave your phone running, turn on Do Not Disturb, and record yourself for an hour or 2 hours, whatever. Bring me in the time-lapse video, and I'll see this into the screen all day long. Or I'll see this. or I'll see something, whatever it is. And it may not be there. It may be in your car. It may be sleeping. If you lay down in bed, and if we had a time-lapse video of the positions you're in through the night, some of you go to sleep like a Dracula or like a mummy, and that's okay. And you're in a good position.
And some of you have positions at work that maybe not in front of a computer all day long, but you know that they're not right. Maybe you're like leaning into a dental patient's mouth, or maybe you're, cutting people's hair and you're all over.
Maybe you're at a grocery store where you only put groceries down the conveyor belt. Remember that when there was people at grocery stores? That was crazy. Now it's you doing it. So now it's even more on you, because every time you go to the grocery store, you're putting it down one side down the conveyor. But we have to establish an idea that there are patterns, and we got to break those patterns. So if we can minimize the patterns that create subluxation, and we can maximize the correction of subluxation, we got 2 of the 3 pieces that are really great. Now the third one, and this is the most important one for the patient to understand, that we have little, almost zero or no control over. So if I don't give you this, if I don't hand you this responsibility, if I don't keep you accountable to it, if I don't ask questions about it. And when I ask questions about this, frequently patients, I'll say, how you doing on? And I'll tell you what it is in a second, but how you doing on that? They're like, and I'm like, that's not good, because you're showing up. You're doing the hardest part, which is getting to the office. You're taking time out of your day. You're getting adjusted. We try to keep the time tight here. We try to keep your adjustments on point. We're here. We've helped you break bad habits. We've helped you find out what they are. You're doing some of that and trying to unearth those and figure out what they are. But this last one is something proactive that you can be doing. It's the number one thing that patients always ask me is, what can I do when I'm not here? Because they understand I'm only here 3 times a week, 2 times a week, 1 time a week. What can I do when I'm not here to make sure that whatever you're doing when I am here has its maximum benefit? So they're like, and they always go to, can I stretch? And yes, you can stretch. We write a prescription for stretches and strengthening. The third leg of the stool is your daily spinal maintenance, your daily spinal hygiene, your daily spinal exercise protocol. And then I would even argue that beyond the prescription we write, then this is where it starts spilling over. The third leg of the stool starts spilling over to, what does your fitness look like?
Yes.
What does your nutrition look like? That the third leg of the stool starts with your spinal rehab and maintenance. Exercise. We have people do full spinal traction at home using a device. We have patients lay on certain devices while they're getting ready to sleep or sleeping that help to mold and reconfigure the curves in their spine. We have patients do isometric and active exercises that are designed around their subluxation pattern. It's not blanket. It's specific for every patient. Every patient gets a prescripted exercise sheet and stretches, and I can't do it for them.
Right.
How often are you doing it? Twice a day, every day, through the entire part of corrective care. And then once you get to maintenance care, at least once a day. And so it's something that patients will come in. I'm like, how are you doing on your home care? And they're like, okay. I'm doing okay. Okay, so okay is like, the term used to be like, I'm 50-50.
Right.
50-50 means I'm good 50% of the time. I'm terrible 50% of the time. Last time I checked, 50% in any class you ever took, ever, throughout your life, was not a passing grade.
No.
75% is a C. That's, my dad used to say, C is average, you're not average. We don't accept C's. A's and B's in our office, and really I would like to say my patients are A patients. The ones who get the results are A patients. If you have 7 days in a week and you're supposed to be doing your exercises, I'll ask them, how many times a week are you doing your exercise? They're thinking days, not times. So what do they inevitably say if they want to be an A student? They go, oh, I'm doing them every day. I'm great. How many times a week are you doing them? 7. That's 50% if you're a corrective care patient, because it's supposed to be twice a day, 7 days. So that's 50% at 7. 14 is the answer. And so all I'm saying is that there is a rhythm that you have to get in outside of the office. That's your responsibility, that I can't be there for you to do. And your results, your healing, your nervous system, your x-rays show, and typically I've told you this, I can look at a set of x-rays and know what part people aren't doing.
Yeah. Yep.
Because we prescribed certain things for each one of these problems. You may have 2 problems, you may have 5 problems, but we prescribe certain things for each one of them. And if 2 or 3 things are improving really well and one of them isn't, I know what you're not doing.
Right.
So the question is like, how's your home care going? Like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Are you doing this? You doing that? Yeah. And frequently I'll go, how about your hip wedges? How about your neck traction? They're like, yeah, I'm terrible at that one. I'm like, you know how I knew? Take a look here. And I go to their x-rays. And just so you know, that isn't my spine up there.
Right.
That is your spine up there. That is your nervous system. That is your results. So if you're not doing your neck traction and that curve's not getting better, is that on me? Because we're down to weekly visits now. We saw good changes from 3 times a week all the way to 1 time a week because we were adjusting you more. But is your goal to get adjusted 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week your whole life? No. Your goal is, how can I get the most benefit out of the best rhythm with my chiropractic care so that I can do things and support my health? Our goal is actually to see you less. Now, there's a point where I never want to see you below a certain point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I told you guys I've been a weekly chiropractic patient my whole life. My kids are weekly chiropractic patients. My mom and dad are weekly chiropractic patients. Your mom and dad are weekly chiropractic patients. Our best friends who listen to us, who don't have other people chirping in their ears, maybe parents who are nurses or medical doctors or whatever. But our best friends who are getting great results and come in and we have a friend relationship, but also a professional relationship, they're getting great results because they understand there's a rhythm to this. So 3 legs of the stool. Number 1, just to recap this, get your adjustments in rhythm. Number 2, break bad habits. And number 3, do the things that support your health. That starts with your home care, but then it moves into being fit, being healthy, and taking supplements and eating in a way that continue to establish your health so that you end up with less interference, less subluxation, less damage to your health over time.
Absolutely.
I think if we were to just take a last couple minutes to talk about this, I want to give you guys some future focus on health can be easy and it can be fun. And I know we just gave you 3 new steps. But the reality is there are people in our office that do it every day, and it's not complicated. You know what is complicated? Having to take off work to go get a CT and then find out they couldn't find anything on that, and then go get an MRI, and that comes back mildly inconclusive, or maybe they send you off to a radiologist, or maybe they send you off to a neuro specialist, and then they go, oh, we're going to put you on gabapentin, and the side effects of a drug like gabapentin, those are complicated.
Right.
If you ask people who've been on gabapentin, they don't like how they feel, and they don't like the results. And so, like, this is that
medical merry-go-round.
what do you the medical merry-go-round, but also I look at it as like it's a funnel that just you get sucked into, a whirlpool, so to speak.
Yeah.
That the first 1 or 2 times around it, you know, it doesn't feel that tragic, but as it spins faster, you just keep getting sucked in further and further. But I want you to know that in our practice, the funnel actually goes the other way. Like, we're literally pushing people with these 3 legs of the stool. We're pushing them towards greater health. And the neat thing is, on the other side of it, there's vibrance, there's healing, there's cool things that change. I talked to a guy a few weeks ago. He came in for neck tightness and stiffness. It was a really cool story. He was actually referred to, him and his wife are divorced, and his ex-wife is now remarried, and so his children are part of the time with him and part of the time with somebody else. Mm-hmm. So the other half of the family, so mom and her husband, new husband, decided to start bringing the kids in here. Now, they have a great working relationship with their family, so they were like, this is life-changing. So they told their dad, and the ex-wife told her ex-husband. How cool is that? Yeah. Right? Because I think we're just taught that you just have to never talk to him again, or hope not to. But no, like, she actually reached out and said, you should check this out. You guys are already into fitness. You guys are already into your health. This might be something that could benefit you. So they come in, and husband and wife come in, and they start getting adjusted. And his biggest complaint was, my ex-wife was telling me about this. My kids are all under your care. I want to be a good example. I want great health, so I just kind of want to see what my kids are doing. I have some neck stiffness, tightness, whatever. 6 weeks later, I asked him, I said, what's the biggest change that you've noticed under your care? And my favorite part was, he goes, Dr. Ryan, I've been in here for about 6 weeks, and it's going really well, and I'm feeling better, and I'm able to work out better, and my recovery's going better, and I'm sleeping better, and all those things. He goes, but the number one thing I've noticed is for the last 2 or 3 years, I have been going through all of these medical tests and things because I was feeling like I couldn't think clearly. I felt like I had brain fog. I thought it was my testosterone levels, so I had them checked. We looked into my vitamin D levels because my energy didn't feel high. Maybe it was an energy thing. We looked into, I had metabolic testing done. We looked at my B vitamins. We looked at my zinc levels. They were looking under rocks. And it sounds complicated. And it is a little more complicated. He goes, but I came in here and you showed me that my neck was in a bad position and that everything I was experiencing was tied into the nerves up in my upper neck and brainstem. I've been getting adjusted, and I was like, all right, we'll see. He goes, but in the last several weeks, I can tell you that I feel like me again. I feel like I'm focused. I feel like I'm sharper. I feel less brain fog. I feel more energy. And he goes, if you told me you could do that, I wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah.
And if I knew that it was possible, I would have done it.
Right.
So here's a weird conundrum. If I knew I could do it, I would do it. But if you told me you could do it, I wouldn't have believed it. So we don't make that promise. We just tell them how their body functions and what we're going to do and what the plan is. And your results are yours. And again, this was giving him back the responsibility. He goes, I'm doing the home care. I feel it. When I do my neck traction in the morning, like I feel better after doing it. I'm doing these things. I'm feeling better. I started taking the supplement. I'm feeling better. And it was all, and so now as the chiropractor, I'll end on this, is that I now don't get to take credit.
Right.
Because he did the work. And this is my favorite thing when we said we're going to hold you accountable. When I told you I can't help you, I can help you. When he wins, then he gets to win, and I get to go, awesome, dude. Glad we guided you along that way, but you did it. You're the champion. It's your health. It's your future. It's your brain fog clearing. It's your mental clarity. It's you getting the raise this year because you're performing at a higher level. It's you living 10 more years of health than maybe 10 more years of disease. It's you maybe not going to a nursing home or getting dementia. It's you. And he was like, yeah. That person understands that they're not going to quit doing the things that they were doing, not that I was doing. Mm-hmm. Because when people quit chiropractic care, they quit because they think it was something I was doing.
Yep.
And they weren't getting results maybe because they thought I wasn't doing the right job. And our job is to point them in the direction. Simply, as long as you show up, as long as you lay down on the table, as long as I look at your x-rays and we make the adjustments, we're going to see changes, but it's dependent on you showing up, you laying down on the table, you breaking bad habits, and you doing the things at home when it comes to your rehab and spinal hygiene that you have to do. And it is going to be beautiful.